Welcome in, everybody. My name is Josh. This is Gaming Joy Channel. Why is my... so far back from the camera that the camera is like almost too small. A little bit bigger, so you guys can say hi. There we go. That's about right. Yeah, good enough. Welcome everybody. My name's Josh. This is Gaming Joy Channel, and we are on our Square by Square challenge on Frontier. Now, even though Frontier is obviously not the only map that's available, it's the one we're currently having a little bit of fun on until something better comes out. And I do have an idea of what's better. Why does this thing just shut off? Good evening, Charles. Welcome in. Why is the thing not working? That's supposed to be my cut thing. Controls are being weird. Oh gosh. Let's back them up just in case. Rename. I don't want to mess them up, so back up. 01 today's date 29th 25 025. Okay, I'm just backing them up. The controls just in case, because there's something going on here with the cut action. Activate hand tool, no. Vehicle work. It's tree harvester. It is. Tree harvester. Change work width. Tilt harvester head. Move carriage to yarder. I wish you could just highlight everything that's like set to a specific letter, because I know X is what's bound to that thing. Tool function 2. Let's go over here to here. Tool function 2. Click. Did I just mess that up? I did. Tool function 2. I guess tool function 2 is the orange one. Okay, whatever. Did I just mess that up? I did it again. I love this system where it doesn't auto-save. You have to actually manually save it, which is super annoying. Tool function 2. Tool function 2. Click. Now, if I set another one, it's going to save that one. Must need to turn on the tool. What do you mean turn on? There we go. Now it's working. Hello and welcome. How is everyone doing? We're I haven't actually been on this map for a while. I prepped this episode and sat there with a tree literally in the tree harvester head that we just processed, looking out over this big meadow of craziness. Let's look at the meadow real quick. Let's drop this guy off. And we need our wheel cam on. Where's our wheel cam? Wheel cam. Let's move it until it's in the right position. There we go. So we have a new area. We bought this next plot right next to us. And we cleared it out. I don't want to have you've seen me do that before. There's no reason to show you again, but if you can see where we are, we now own this plot, and this plot. And the main reason I wanted to buy this plot is really just for this little corner right here. I want to start building a farm in that area. And I had to buy everything else to do that. I'm still looking at, like, buildings and stuff to build my farm out of. I have a few. We're going to look at them today. But in reality, I want to start making some fields. So in this area, I cut it down. We're going to make a field here today. But what I want to do is right here where the harvester is this line right here. I want to basically add to this grass field. And I want to loop it around like that. Around here, make it a big grass field. Grass is probably one of our biggest products. This is the one thing I like to do the most, so we might as well go on that. And then down here, once we start expanding, I want to make it into like a crop field down here. And so maybe once we come over here, we'll make a big crop field. But for now, we'll make another field there. So we'll do that today. And that's the plan for today. But as you can see, we have this big field, this big open area. And it's all ready to go. It's hard to tell that there's actually grass on the ground because it's the same color as the dirt, but there's grass there. But we are obviously on the new version of the map. And as you can see, the other thing that's happened on this map, which is pretty cool, I'm enjoying it, is that our farmhouse, is working its way to being built, which is amazing. Let's turn that off. And as you can see, if we get out and we look around, our farmhouse is coming along. I don't know how far away we are from being done, but it's coming along. It says it needs some wood beams, and I've given it plenty of wood beams, so still think about it. If we can get this built before the end of the winter, I'll be happy. It's December, so there's not really much else to do, but it's coming along. I do like how they've done it, where they have both interior and exterior walls, and it's like going up in stages. So we might come back later today and see a different stage. And it will update over the course of the day, which is really nice. But for now, we need to come in here and do some logging. So we need to clear out this little corner. And I think I had what's it? Is it this one? I was really getting used to this camera view. And not this camera view. Maybe this camera view? No. I don't remember what it was. I was like totally, like a couple weeks ago, I was using the wheel and using the arm. I had it working like golden. And then I didn't play on this map for 2 weeks, and I completely lost it. So, that's okay. And we're back at it, and we get to play with the wheel and the arm again, so that's fine. And we get to use our farm stick. We get to use all the cool stuff that we've gotten over time. And kind of using it all together right now, which is really nice. I'm actually excited about that. That's pretty fun. But yeah, so we're going to clear off this corner, and so we can connect it. And you can kind of see where... I don't know if you can see, but... You can kind of see I mowed where that connection should be. So basically I kind of mowed in like a stripe right about here. And that's the path that I want the field to take. So we're going to cut down a few trees. And then we're going to do some plowing. And go from there. Oh, gosh. This stick has so much drift. I don't know what to do about it. How's it going in? Tony Joystick, I did notice your comment in my Discord just now. Tony, thanks for commenting. Yeah, I'm still not sure what about grass. I mean, the code for grass and says that it's supposed to only give you 50% when it's not fully grown, but we've seen since the game was releasing that code is not working. And that's not my fault. That's Giants' fault. So I was just wondering if the patch was going to fix it. Like, it's funny, they fixed some stuff, but they haven't fixed other stuff. Like, other bugs that are equally as annoying as the stuff that they fixed. But maybe, I guess, not just to me. Come on. Why isn't it turning green? There it is. Turn green for me. I feel obligated. Yeah, totally. Me too. I do feel obligated. It's funny that it makes you feel that way, right? Like, you feel like you have to just because you can get more out of it. And it's like, if they change it tomorrow where it works the way it should, then suddenly you won't feel obligated to do it 5 times a year. You'll only do it 4. And which is the way, 22 was. Which is fine, but it does feel a little bit like an obligation, right? Feels like you feel like you're wasting the crop by not getting as much out of it as possible. And you feel like if you had a crop that was like, it's almost like having the swather and then having it in your garage and then not using it to swath wheat and just harvesting normally. Or like, or the one that I feel all the time is you have a wheat crop and you feel like you have to drop straw and then do all of the extra work needed because the straw is there, just because you know that you're kind of you're leaving it on the ground if you don't, right? It's like you don't need to do any of that. The game doesn't force you to do any of that, but as players we almost want to, because we feel like it's, we're losing out somehow by not doing it. Right? It's a very funny situation. The one thing I was hoping was fixed, and this is what was supposedly fixed, one of the big things they supposedly fixed was how often the trees get stuck in the ground. Now, I know on this map, I was getting trees getting stuck pretty often. Using the tree harvester just to harvest trees normally, not doing anything special, not doing anything crazy, just tree harvester harvesting. And I know that I was getting it to get caught pretty frequently. But, I'm trying to see if it happens. So, we're just going to do not too much forestry. I mean, when I did this whole thing, when I did that whole field over there, like that whole field took me a while, in all honesty. And I don't want to just do forestry on streams. That's why I only left this little corner to do. Oh, and you know what? I should be separating these trees. Oh well. That was my bad. I should have been separating those trees. I don't have anything to separate them with, and I'm not going to redo it now. So I guess it's all going into the sawmill. Actually, I think the sawmill's full. So I guess we're selling it, all of it. We're just going to sell all of it, even though it's not worth a lot. How does that sound? That whole back up, spin it around, twist slightly. That motion, I'm getting really good at. It's one of those things that you learn over time from doing forestry a lot. And in all honesty, I still think forestry is one of my favorite things to do. And initially, I hated it. And it wasn't until I started using that. I don't know if you guys remember, but anyone who's been here for a while, I used to use a 3D space mouse. And it used to be actually in my description, like which one I used and stuff. But I used to use this. Oh, and as we were talking about trees getting caught in the ground. Oh, now the harvesters are going to get caught in the ground too. I don't know how I got that one up. Oh, there we go. I unstuck it. Good job, Josh. I don't even know what I was saying anymore. So anyways, I do still think it's fun, and I know there's a lot of like these kind of wilderness maps, and part of the fun of these wilderness maps is like clearing the land and making fields in the land you cleared. I think, to me, that's just fun. And I don't really think that I enjoy clearing land just for the sake of clearing land. It's always got to be for a purpose for me. For me, that's the only time it makes sense, is when it is for a purpose. It's got to be for a good reason, right? Oh, this is totally getting stuck. Hey, Bruce, welcome in. Thanks for being here. We are clearing a few trees here, and then we're going to get to doing some other stuff. Making money is a good reason. It is a very good reason. But at some level, you know, making money is... I think that's the one place in this game where I can get bored. At some point, when you have like the equipment you want, that's when I get... Like, I don't get... There's like... Because... I noticed this with those other games I've been playing lately, is I like games that like there's an ending. Oh, sorry. Where there's an ending, right? Because if you just get money and all you're doing is just collecting oodles of money, at some point there's no challenge in that. At some point you're just like doing the same thing over and over, and it's not enjoyable. And I think that's one of the reasons why I stray away from maps sometimes, is I'll play a map for a while and I'll end up with a lot of money, and then by the time I get enough money, sometimes like I can get enough just playing, like doing the same things I always do, which is, you know, forestry and grass work and stuff. Like, you end up with enough money within a year of gameplay. If you're, like, doing contracts and stuff, too. Especially with myself, because, you know, contract boosts and all. Like, I made a mod to make contracting more profitable. So, obviously, I like doing that. But I start to get bored. And then, like, I almost, like, I lose out on seeing a map and experiencing everything with the map that I'm playing, because I get a little bit bored. Right? I think that's inevitable to some degree. But the downside right now is there isn't very many maps. And that's the downside right now, is that if I get bored, I don't have very many options. Which is one of the reasons why, like, this series I haven't played in a couple weeks, because I don't want to get bored. I don't want to just play this series every day and get to a point where I'm just like, okay, what is there left to do? I have bundles of money, more money than I'll ever need. Now what? You know what I mean? I don't want to get to that point. That's what's wrong. My arm, boom, was off to the left. But there are plenty of map makers out there doing some good stuff. I've been like messing around with touring a few maps. I have a new one that I really, really like. It's my kind of map, and I would bet money that no one else is going to like it. What is my kind of map? It's literally this map with way more trees, way more roads, and way more hills. But it's essentially a wilderness map. And there are fields, but they're all grass fields. There's no like regular fields at all. And I'll have to show that off soon. So maybe like later in the week or Friday or something like that, we can do a map tour of that one. And if I can find any other maps that need touring, we can do that. I also came up with an idea on map tours. Now, I know a lot of people and a lot of content creators for Farm Sim do map tours, right? That's kind of a thing. Bruce has his own way of doing a map tour. Seedly P has his own way of doing a map tour. You get people like Scroft or Farm Sim Guy doing these big, long cinematic map tours. And we still can if you want, Bruce. I'm not beholden to this. You can always save and come back. If we only finish this, maybe we'll do that. It's a quick map tour. It'll be a quick one. And then, you know what? I'll save it for Friday. And we'll do it. We'll do the map tour on Friday, Bruce, so you can look forward to it. And I'll try to get a couple other maps to tour as well. But I had this idea, like, I want to do map tours, but I want to do, as always, I always want to do something different. I want to do something in a different way of doing it. And I kind of want to do, like, I kind of don't want to do map tours at all. What I mean by that is I kind of want to do, like, a map, like a spotlight. Right? I want to spotlight and highlight maps for a reason that might not be obvious. And so, even with all of these, like, maps that are in beta right now and aren't even fully developed or still in testing or yada yada yada, like, I think a lot of people are going to see, oh, it's just a map. But I tend to see the more. Like, I tend to see the edge case. I tend to see what makes a map special. Like this map, right? A lot of people have done map tours on this map, but almost everyone has glossed over what makes this map special. And in all honesty, from my perspective, and this is just me understanding things, I guess, what makes this map special is not the map. In some ways, it's how the map was built. That's what makes this map special. But no one's talking about that. No one is highlighting that. That's just ignored. Everyone else is ignoring that fact. What makes this map special is how fast it was built, or what the restrictions were when it was built, right? that kind of stuff is just not really apparent. This is the other bug that they haven't fixed yet. Oh, wait. I parked it somehow. Control T. Unpark. If you tab to vehicles, right? Tab. And then I turn my vehicle on. Hit I to fill. I can't fill. Or R to fill. If you tab to the vehicle, you can't do it. If you get in and out, then you hit R, it'll work. So there's some silage to sell here, but I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to disconnect. And we are going to go get the mower and cut down all those stumps. Because isn't that what you do with your mower? Just cut down stumps? Whoa. Hey, Jack Sarge. Welcome in. Thanks for being here, buddy. What time of day is it right now for you? I don't even know. It's got to be the middle of the night or early morning, right? Okay, we don't want swathing mower. We're going to change our work mode, so Control Y to stump grinder mode. We're going to turn it on. And not even lowering it down, we're going to stump grind all these stumps. Oh, we didn't stump grind all together. That one left a little tidbit. You're 1:32 Thursday afternoon. Okay. I haven't seen the latest trailer for Roadcraft, but I am very excited about Roadcraft. I was a really big fan of SnowRunner. 100% fan of SnowRunner, but I played SnowRunner on console, which means I didn't really experience it in the same way as some other people would play. And now that I have a wheel with pedals and like a control stick to my right side, I'm really looking forward to Roadcraft. Especially now that I can drive. Like, really actually drive and experience it driving. Because, you know, you can only experience so much stuff on a controller. Don't get me wrong, controllers are great. You can only experience it so well on a controller. Not 100%, so. Whoop. The trick with the stump grinder on this is if you ever get a stump that's too tall. Now, I was really good about making the stumps too tall. Not too tall because I cut them really close to the ground. But if you ever have a stump that's too tall with this stump grinder attachment on the mower, which is back in testing, by the way. Well, not in testing. It's pending again. Just back up to it. That's how it works. Alright, we're going to come over here. Over here. Back it up. Alright. What's left to do? Let's check our status. We haven't checked our status in a while. Physics engine looks amazing. May release. May. Ooh, that's a good time. That gives us plenty of time to... Then it's going to be a competition. You know, where are the best maps and what's better to play, Roadcraft or Farm Sim? We have a lot of silage that we could sell if we need money, but we don't really need money. We could buy another plot of land, which would actually be pretty fun to do right now. And actually not a bad idea. Do we have anything else to sell? We have a lot of wood. So what we've done with the wood, just so you guys see what's happening, is right here, we've got our sawmill. And this sawmill has in it just under 250,000 liters. And the reason it has so much in it is over here in the trees over there, you can kind of see it in the distance, there's a second sawmill. In that other sawmill is, so I have this one, and I marked it here as delivery, and this one is production. So This one is doing all the production of the wood beams and planks up by my farm, which is what I want. And this one is just accepting wood in and delivering it. So when I come in here to get into my truck and deliver wood, I'm delivering it down to that other place so that I can, I'm delivering it down to this sawmill over here because that's just going to deliver it back up to the other one. So we're using the wood delivery part of the production to its effect, which is great. And it looks like we have a contract for cultivating. Whose idea was that? I don't remember taking a contract for cultivating. Let's load up with our wood and go sell it. We're just going to sell it all instead of producing it. We have more wood than we know what to do with for producing. And we could use a little bit more money, and we can decide on which plot to go for. Got a mixture of wood here, some good wood, some not so great wood. Why don't you guys vote in chat? Tell me how much you think this load is going to sell for. See whoever is the closest. I'm going to guess about... Because we're in hard mode. We're in hard economy. So I'm going to guess about 50k. No, 40. 40. I'm going to say 40. The maps are 4 kilometers by 4 kilometers. So they're basically a 4x map. Nice. And they're actually going to do forestry in it? Jack Sarge? Ooh, that's exciting. I mean, we like forestry here, but it sounds like that game is going to be kind of like construction sim, terraform, and forestry all wrapped up into one game. That sounds exciting. 38k for Bruce. Hard mode, don't forget. What do you guys think? 45k? All right. We got 38k, 45k. Anyone else want to guess? What do you think? I don't even know what I said. Did I say 40? I think I said 40. 56. Y'all are too low. Everyone was too low. 56 plus another 8. Or another 7. So 56 plus 7, whatever that is. Math is not my strong suit. This place looks barren this time of year. Like, really barren. Oh, wait. Turn off, dude. I forgot to turn that off. We're going to take this one. And I did a cultivating mission. Do I own a cultivator? Oh, I do. Not a great one, but I own a cultivator. The camera facing the right way. If you knew how, you would swap out the grass in NF. What's NF? New Frontier? With the grass and comms in? So there is a way, Jack, and I'm going to do a tutorial on how to do that. There is a way. It is not actually that hard. It's actually relatively easy. New Frontier uses... obviously, every map has 2 types of grass. Grass and meadow. And depending on whether you want to pull the grass or pull the meadow, depends on what you're doing and how you do it. Unfortunately, the game engine doesn't allow it the way it used to, which is really, really annoying. There is a bug in the game engine that Giants just doesn't want to fix that basically says that every map has to load every crop type, essentially, from giants. Every map. And there's no option to do anything other than add different crops. And the only option map builders have is that you have to include a meadow of some kind, but you can choose which meadow to include. So there's the Riverbend Springs meadow, there's the Zelonka meadow, and then there's also the Hutan Pantai meadow. So there's 3 different meadows you can include, and you can choose which one to include, but you have to include one of them or the game will give you an error. But so that's the only customization we have. No one can change how the crop is now. But the thing is that Scroft actually released a video earlier today that I haven't had a chance to watch yet. Let's check where it's in the last field. He released a video on how to edit your grass crop, which I already knew how to do the edit, but I don't know how to do it in a map. And so I'm actually going to look at that video and see if he figured something out that I wasn't able to figure out. I have a custom grass crop on my maps, but that's because I'm using a mod from ThunderFS called Default Crops, or Default Crop Types, which basically allows you to override the default crop type system. But unless you have that mod, which isn't on console, you can't have custom grass. But apparently Oxy figured out how to do it. And I don't know if he just did it with meadow or he did it with all the grass. That would be one thing I haven't looked at. But I haven't even gone on to Compton yet. And that isn't because I don't like Compton. I do. I think Compton is a beautiful, beautiful map. I really do. I think Compton's a beautiful map. And Compton, if I go back to that whole like map highlight idea or map showcase idea, Compton is a map that I would showcase. But I'm not going to showcase it just because it's Compton. There's reasons to showcase Compton, and reasons that most people probably wouldn't understand until someone tells them, right? Like, Compton is true to life. And it has made a lot of affordances for the game, but overall, the map is true to life for a real place in the world. And there are people that are complaining because they don't like this or don't like that. I'm like, well, that's nice. Or they're complaining because they can't delete every building and every fence and every hedge. And, you know, you release a map and the next day people are like, well, how do I delete this? How do I remove this? How do I change everything to do it the way I want it? Like, come on, people. Enjoy the map for what it is, instead of just trying to change everything, bend everything to your will. Don't get me wrong, I like to bend things to my will all day long. I will bend anything in the game to my will, and I'm not afraid to use it. Or not afraid to do it. But at some level, for a map like Compton, it's not meant to be bent to your will. It's meant to be played as is. And then you go into the map maker's Discord and you're like, hey, how do I change all of your hard work? How do I get rid of all of your hard work because I don't want to see it anymore? I want it to look like America. That's kind of disrespectful in some ways, right? I mean, I don't care personally, but I've redirected a few people asking those kind of questions to Oxy's Discord. And I kind of felt bad doing it. Just because, you know, that's not what it was intended for. I don't know. It's just how it is. But yeah, I like the grass on Compton from what I've seen. And I've gone on to it a little bit. But I think what's happening, actually, what a lot of people are thinking is grass is not grass. I think a lot of people are seeing meadow and thinking that the meadow is grass. But because it looks like grass, I mean, it is grass. But it's not a meadow, it's not a grass crop. and you mow it and it gives you grass, but it actually is meadow. And so the map makers are allowed to customize meadow, but they're not allowed to customize grass. Grass is different than meadow. And until Giants fixes their bug, I don't see a way to do that. Oh, Tony, thanks for coming in. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for being here, buddy. See you soon. Hope you have a good night. I was playing on the other map, and there was this. I was on a field, and of course, this like mostly default settings. I was playing that other map, and it's a very hilly map with lots of trees. And I was on a field that was at a somewhat low elevation. A very low elevation. And I had to do a baling contract. Or no, a bale wrapping contract. So there's bales all over the place. All over the field. I've got to find them all and wrap them, right? Typical bale wrapping contract. But the fog was so dense, I couldn't see anything at all. Like, I couldn't see more than like a couple feet in front of me. It was really bad. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Giants, does your fog really have to be this bad? And then I logged in today after the update. Or yesterday after the update? Yesterday after the update. And it was worse. Like, they made it worse. They didn't make it better. They made it worse. Not like worse as in, like, the fog looked worse. It actually looked better. Especially, like, the water splashing thing that they added. But, like, really? You gotta tone it down. There is a slider for the fog. It's just not in the UI. Which I don't understand. So there's a console command for the fog. And I'm surprised no one, like, from a modding perspective, has actually made a mod that does this. But you could probably relatively easily do it. I'm just going to let someone else do it because I don't care about it too much. But the fog has, like, 5 different settings. I can show you. Here, I'll show you. Hold on. So we go here. We type in, so you open your console, type in fog. And then see how it says GS weather set fog? This is new, by the way. You see how there's 2 columns? The first column tells you what the command is. The second column, which is new, explains what the command does, which is really handy. And if I just hit enter, I get GS weather set fog. Enabled or disabled. This is whether fog is enabled or disabled in general. But it doesn't actually turn off the fog if it's already there. I don't know why, but it seems to be a bug. But if you just do true, and then you set 0 space 0 space 0 space 0 space 0 space 0, it'll turn off the fog completely. I don't want to do it right now because I like the fog, but you see all those different values. Covered edge 1, covered edge 2, I don't know what that means. I think that means like location. Ground fog level density, I'm assuming it's a number from 0 to X. I don't know what that means. Ground fog extra height, whether it's extra tall or not. If you just set 0, it just does nothing for the extra height. Ground fog minimum valley depth, so it only shows fog in a minimum depth of a valley, so you need at least, you know, a 2-meter valley for fog to show up in a valley. And then the fog max height, the highest height of the fog, which will differ map to map. You have to set that. And then the fog level density. These are all stuff that's set in your environment or in the map's environment file, so it's a configuration for the map. But what if you don't like the map's settings? Or you're like on that map I was talking about today. Like, I couldn't see anything, the fog was so bad. So how do I adjust it? And the only thing I could do is use that command to just turn everything off. Like, literally everything off. And it would turn it off, and I was able to finish my bale wrapping contract. And my contract is finished. Sweet. We can head back to our farm. And then do some plowing. I've been using this AGCO for a lot. Mainly just because there isn't any other tractors that have appealed to me. We're, of course, doing the mods only challenge. Oh, by the way, I have some news. I have some news. Everybody, we have news. Why is my camera not centered? Hold on. I'm sitting right here. There we go. Now it's centered. So I have some news. When we first started this challenge, I created a mod called Mods Only. And what it does, if you guys haven't seen it, if I come in here into the store, as you can see, my store is kind of barren. Like, there's nothing in animals. I go into barrels and I only have the TARDIS because that's the only mod that I have that provides a barrel of some kind. I go into chainsaws. There's only these two chainsaws because this is from a mod. I go into miscellaneous. There's only this mower. Nothing else. Mods only. So there is no base game equipment. Category transport. These are the only two bale trailers I have because those are the only two mods that I have enabled. Right? So it's mods only. And that extends down into the construction menu too. See the construction menu? These are the only sheds that I have because these are the only ones that I've downloaded. I haven't downloaded anything else. Well, I don't have access to anything else, which means I can't do stuff. I go into silos. These are the only silos I have. These are all stuff that most of them I've made, but like silo extensions, these are the only ones that I have. There's nothing in constructibles because I don't have any constructible mods. So the mods only mod, I submitted it to Giants. They didn't like it. They didn't like it at all. It went into testing and failed within like an hour. Like, they didn't actually spend any time testing it. I think they probably loaded it up into the game, saw what it did, and were like, I don't want to deal with the aftermath of this mod. And they basically said, no, we can certify your mod. And they're like, basically, we don't want this on ModHub because we don't want to deal with the backlash from, or confusion from players when they install it and then wonder where all their base game stuff went. It's in the description, RTFM, dude. But I understand to a degree. But they basically said no. And but yeah, basically, I took away all of their work. All gone. They're like, this isn't something that we want to have on ModHub because we feel that it doesn't blah 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 blah. They gave me some very political reason. But they were like, no, we're not doing that. We're not putting this on ModHub. And I was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, so the mods only mod is available on my GitHub if anyone wants it. It is a PC only mod, obviously, because it is a script mod, which means that GitHub is probably the best place to get it. I'm gonna have to start putting my stuff up, like not where I've parked it, because I want to build there. I'm gonna move stuff over here because I'm not gonna build over here because I don't own this land. So I'm just gonna drop this here. But yeah, they didn't like it. And the other thing that I'm doing as far as mods are concerned is I'm starting to use a new mod sharing site. So Farm Sim Game, the FSG crew, not Farm Sim Guy, but Farm Sim Game. They put out a lot of really good mods. And they are actually, with our loss this year of, I guess it's kind of a loss. Our loss of King mods to the to the pirated mods. We lost King Mods to the pirated mod folks this year. King Mods now supports pirated mods and doesn't care, and they've actually released a bunch of mods that violate ModHub terms of service. So yeah, that's a thing now. We used to think that King Mods was safe. No longer. Anyways, so with King Mods down, essentially, and no longer able to be used for this kind of stuff, the FSG group decided to make their own ModHub. So they're making their own website and whatnot. It's called Mod Barn, which I think is a pretty good name. And they're allowing authorized modders who have validated and verified who they are and what they make, and verified that they do not release bad content or edit other people's mods and release them as their own, or try to upload nefarious stuff. They have all kinds of protections and safeguards in place to protect against those kind of dastardly actions. But they've made their own mod sharing site that does that, and it's called Mod Barn. And so the first mod that I've uploaded to Mod Barn was the mods only mod. So if you're looking for mods only, the two places that are valid for that mod are going to be my GitHub and Mod Barn. It's open to other modders, but you have to be verified. So it's not just open to just anyone, and when you upload, all your stuff is checked. So you upload something and it's set in a pending status until someone is verified that it's legit, not stolen, is your work, you have rights to release it, all of that stuff. And if you get caught releasing something you don't have rights to, you lose your status and ability to upload mods to their website, and you're basically banned or blocked or whatever from hold on, control home. Blocked or whatever from ever uploading there again. So that's where I'm uploading that mod. Yeah, and so they've allowed me to release my stuff there, which is great. I'm trying to get a little bit more publicity to some of my mods, and for a lot of the mods that I make, like even some of the ones that I'm only releasing on my GitHub, and a lot of the ones that were stolen, I'm going to be uploading them there. Some of the stuff that Giants wouldn't accept because it doesn't meet Giants guidelines, like the mods only mod, or like my silo and fermenter package. As soon as I finish it up and get it to make sure that it's error free, I will be releasing it over there for everyone to enjoy. But that's the status. So if you do see my mod over there, please let me know. And by the way, Tobo, there was another creator, another content creator. Do you know who it was who did that? And I think it's a good thing. I think that there's a lot of desire right now to find some trust, right? I think that with the advent of 25 and a lot of the stuff that's been happening, stuff that's been happening for 25, I think we've lost a little bit of trust in the community around us and the mods, and that's nice. One formal mods. Thanks, Marty. Welcome in, Marty, by the way. We've lost some trust, and so what are we doing as players? We're going to the other people we trust, which are the content creators. And so as you play with other mods, that you have to be able to, you want to trust who they're coming from and trust the people that made them. Now, the Crazy Gaming UK, now the Ponzi Cobra is one of those examples that's in the gray area. And so for the Ponzi Cobra, that was a conversion, right? We know that it was a conversion. Somebody converted it. And all I did was fix the conversion, because it wasn't done very well. I don't claim over that mod. I've tried to reach out to the person who originally made it, but it was a conversion, and it was not mine, so I didn't make it. All I did was fix it to make it work for now, and in all honesty, as soon as the rightful owner of that mod raises his hand, I will take it down. But being that it was a conversion and it was kind of broken and not really working, I've shared it only privately within my members to show that it is working. Because I don't want to take anyone else's thunder or anyone else's mod. I don't want to claim it as my own. If I, as a modder, am making an edit of someone else's mod for personal use, or maybe for someone else's personal use, that's fine, but I'm not going to try to release it anywhere for others to consume, because it's not my right. Oh, I like how the wheel, like, spins back, right? But welcome in, Crazy Gaming. Thanks for being here. I'm not the owner of those mods, basically. Why are we so slow? 8:46 in the morning. Let's get some time in. We're in December. Let's get to midday. Because this low-level light is hard to see. J-Turk, welcome in. Farmer G, welcome in. Wow, lots of new people, lots of new folks. Thanks for being here, everybody. In case you didn't know, we are on New Frontier, and I am plowing. That's it. Just plowing. And using a mod by one of our good friends, and someone who I actually spend a little bit of time helping make this mod. This is by Ridiculous Dominic. And this is Ridiculous Dominic's SP10M. Is that the right name for it, Bruce? SP10M mod. And the coolest part about this mod is this right here. Is the way it folds. I love that. It gets so compact and nice. And so my favorite part is that when you, like as you just saw, I outlined the field with it in its small format. And it's much easier to draw straight lines when it's in a small setting. So that's why I like to do it that way. It's just a lot easier to do the straight lines in the small setting. And then I like going around like this. So a lot of times with courseplay, I'll trace the outline of the field, like around the field, right? And then I'll be recording a field at the same time with courseplay. And then I'll set up the course using that path that I just did, and I'll let courseplay plow the field using the path that I just created with it in its small mode, but I will extend it into its larger mode before I set courseplay off on the task. And what that does is that allows courseplay to plow a field for me, which is super handy and super obvious and super great. I'm also working with Dom on a couple new mods, which is pretty exciting. But I helped him fix one thing on here, which I think this is an early version. This is not the current version, because there's supposed to be little animations for the plow effect. But they're missing or something. Can't tell if they're there or not. Well, welcome in, everybody. Thanks for being here. This is my square by square challenge, which is a challenge Rusty did, but I'm calling it a square by modded square, because I am under the restriction of I can only use mods. There's nothing in the base game. If you look at my store menu, there are no base game vehicles, no base game buildings, no base game construction things, nothing. It's all gone. And I released a mod that actually does that work for me to release it, which is available on GitHub, or on my personal GitHub, or on ModBard. In case you want to take this ultimate challenge on, which is, can you actually play an entire season or an entire map Only using mods, never using anything from the base game. And the one caveat there is just to make sure you guys understand is there's a lot of little things that the base game gives you that you don't realize that you use all the time, but when you go mods only, you can't. So, like, I don't know what's a good example. What's a good example? Oh, like pallet forks, right? I don't think anyone has released a mod for pallet forks yet. So if I wanted to play with pallets turned on, right? If I wanted to play with pallets turned on right now, I could. But I wouldn't be able to load them because there's no pallet forks available. The only thing I'd be able to use is a forklift. But oh wait, there are no modded forklifts out yet. I haven't seen one. Have you? So even like a telehandler fork or any of those other kind of things, I can't use them. And so there's a lot of little stuff like that that are in the base game that you wouldn't be able to use. Like you can't buy a pallet of lime. Nope, it's gone. See? Go in here to consumables, or the consumables are all over the place now, right? But there isn't even a consumable category. It's just not here. It's gone. It's kaput. Goodbye. I removed it. So that's the challenge, is can you play with only using mods? And especially this early in the game, I think it's going to be more of a challenge. A year from now, no problem. Everyone will be doing it. But right now, a year from now, everyone's going to be playing with mods only just because there's so many cool mods out. But we're so early on in the game's development and the mods development that there aren't really that many mods out yet. Like, even all of my mods are still pending. They haven't been released yet. Unless you're on PC and you can have access, early access or whatever, but... What are you doing? I locked you in. Howdy, neighbors. Hey, Gold Gaming, how's it going? I really got to figure out a solution for this. I'm sitting here like trying to drive, and I'm on a chair with wheels, so I'm like sliding all over the floor. I like my chair. My chair's comfy, but these chair wheels don't have brakes. Like there's no like little latchy thingy on the wheel to make it stop moving. I'm gonna have to buy those. I'm gonna have to buy new wheels. Hey Artemis, welcome in. Thanks for being here. Wishing there was a... Yeah, I know. That game was fun. I very much enjoyed that game. And it's also crazy to think that I completed the game, like I got all the way to the end of the game in 2 streams. Like I played a lot of other like early access, or even that one's not even early access, but games where I've done multiple streams, and it was like it was definitely a lot more than just 2 episodes. It was like 6 hours of gameplay. And I didn't even play very much. Astro Medica even got 5 streams in there. So that's what, 10 to 15 hours of gameplay. But I really like the Firewatch idea. I like the concept. We got a couple more to play. I know that the other game that I play a lot of, or I used to play a lot of, I haven't played in a while, No Man's Sky. They've come out with an update, or they've posted the update, and I think it's available now. I'm just not playing it yet. Usually the update comes out, and then a couple days later they have an expedition, and I really like the expeditions. So I haven't started playing it yet. But they just released Worlds Part 2. I don't have any idea what it is. I haven't watched anything. I've been working all day. But that one just had an update. I saw that in my Steam library. the same day actually that the Farm Sim update came out, and I think it's snowing. It's snowing. Yeah, it's definitely snowing. Yeah, I finished it. 2 streams, dude. I don't know if you caught the second stream. It was on a Sunday or something. But yeah, it only has like 5 to 6 hours of gameplay in the game. And I wasn't like speed running it at all. I was getting lost a lot. Is a very the way the map was built was very disorientating. But I wanted to make sure that we're including other games that I like to play in some of my streams, just for a little bit of a break. I can only spend so much time plowing a field before I go crazy. You know what I'm saying? The other one that I'm keeping my eye on, I already have the early access versions, so we might play it, but I might wait for the final release if they announce it. And that one's going to be Forever Skies. Forever... seems like a little bit too much of a... I want to fix that corner. There, we're going to compact this. But Forever Skies is just like... it's like a building, crafting, exploring kind of game. But the cool part about it is like... you're on an airship. Hold on, I have to focus for this part. You basically are crafting and building an airship and flying from one tower to another tower. So if you've got a fear of heights, that game is probably not for you. But it seemed like a really cool concept, and it seemed to be really well done. I haven't played it yet. I've watched a couple other streamers play it. But I haven't played it myself yet. There we go. Yeah, the game itself had me on the edge of my seat too. Not just you, Gold. Me too. Like here, I'm like chilling. I'm just hanging out, talking to you guys, sitting back in my chair. That one, I was like literally on the edge of my chair, and I kept adjusting myself and like getting uncomfortable because I realized that I was on the edge of my chair. It was really amusing. Well, I mean, it amused me at least. Oh yeah, Enshrouded. I heard about Enshrouded. The other one I'm waiting for, and I'm looking forward to, and it's not out yet. There's no release date at all. But the company that made No Man's Sky has on their roadmap, and they started releasing trailers for it, a game called Light No Fire. Light No Fire, Light No Fires? Forget whether it's plural or not. But it's going to be basically a cross between a very open world concept where you can go anywhere and do anything, but it's a single world. But it's supposed to be ridiculously big. The company behind No Man's Sky, Hello Games, they go all out when they make things big, and they make things big. I mean, you know, the worlds for No Man's Sky are... each planet is pretty big, but then there's trillions of them. Yeah. I want something open. I want something like that I can go hide in a corner of the universe, still be able to enjoy playing the game, and be able to do multiplayer with other people or whatever, and, you know, generally have some fun playing and exploring in kind of, you know, whatever game, but not be bound so strictly like Valheim or other games are to this like super story arc or limited areas, or like I don't like getting to a map border, right? It's one of the reasons why I like playing 4X maps, is I don't want to get to a map border. Like, I like 4X maps because I can play the whole map and I can play for hundreds of hours and never see the map border, right? But on a regular size map like this one, like even right now, I'm mentally stuck because I don't want to run into the map border, right? Like, the map border's there, and I'm not sure if I want to buy those plots of land because I don't want to have to run into the border. That makes sense? And that's one of the reasons I like 4X maps, is because you can get lost in the map. Get lost in the gameplay of the whole map, but not actually be limited by a border. But then 16X maps are... I think most people build 16X maps or anything bigger than a 4X maps. I think the intentions are different, right? And that's just my perspective. For Farm Sim on 16X maps, most map makers who build 16X maps build them to be big, not build them to get lost in. They build them just because they're big, and to make them as big as possible and make the fields as big as possible. And I want to have a field that's 1,700 hectares, and I need 14 tractors and 3 people and 2 weeks to harvest it. Like, okay, sure, have fun. That's not for me, right? I think that the intention of those map makers is usually just to make it as big as possible, right? 64X maps or whatever. Don't get me wrong, I'm planning on making a really big map. I'm looking forward to it. But that's not my intention. My intention is to make something realistic. Make something that is true to life. So when I make a big map, it's going to be a true to life map. I'm also going to make a bunch of really small maps. I'm actually looking forward to the small maps more than the big map. Because... my intention is different. You know what I mean? So I think that sometimes, like, and that's why I had made the author intended challenge, right? That we did in 2025, and I haven't found a map to do the author intended challenge in 22 yet. Or 20, sorry. I built it for 2022. I created that challenge for 22. I haven't found a map that would work for author intended. Comsden would work great for the author intended challenge. Personally, I'm not going to play it because I've already spent more than enough time playing that map. But author intended is because you're going into a map playing it the way the author intended it to be played. And the idea behind that challenge was not to make your own custom farm, not to build 6 farms, not to merge fields, not to, you know, turn the map into your own, but play the map the way it was designed and the way it was set up by the map author. So the map author gives you a forklift, then you have to use a forklift for lifting pallets for the entirety of your gameplay. Right? If they give you a silage pit, and you've got to use a silage pit for making silage. Right? So I think that's the reason, and I think that for me, when I look at maps, and I think this goes back to the whole idea of me doing some kind of map tour in a different way. I want to look at the intention. I want to look at I want to showcase the maps that have an intention, they have a reason, and they're doing something in a different way than everyone else is, or they have somebody like Poor Boy who spends a lot of time making custom productions and custom items to go in those productions and all of those things to customize it to make it feel more real or give you more to do, versus kind of cookie cutter maps. I don't really like saying that, but in some ways it is, where it's just there to be a map. It's not really... There's no gotcha. There's no... that's selling point. That's not the right way to look at it. There's no... There's nothing that makes it stand out. Let's put it that way. And I want to highlight the maps that are standing out and highlight the reasons that they do stand out. Oh, we're going to have a... we're going to have a little strip. That's what it is. No worries. And there's a few coming out. There's a few coming out that are show some good intention or show some good reason for being there. But there's also some that are coming out that are just like good cookie cutter maps. And honestly, sometimes you need a cookie cutter map. Like the one of those maps that I toured early on, like one of the first map tours I did, I think, was the French Dash map, which got released on ModHub. And it's a 4X map, PC only. I'm still bummed about that PC only thing for 4X maps, but it is what it is. But that got released on ModHub, pretty much the same version that I toured. And I would look at that map not as anything groundbreaking, but as a good like multiplayer 4X map. It had a bunch of farm areas that you really needed to build out to enjoy, because they weren't really built out at all. And it would be a great map for multiplayer. Lots of fields that are all roughly the same size, you know, some big, some small, but not like, oh hey, I have a 4X map and half the map is one field. Like, that's not fun. Well, it's fun to some people. It was a nice looking map, yeah. It just... I think I said that in the tour. It would be great for a multiplayer server. If you wanted to play a multiplayer server with other people and each person has their own farm that they build out and do whatever they want with, right? That would be a good map for that. But also, the map didn't have any productions. It didn't really have anything more than the very basic for sell points. And then a lot of the productions that were on the map weren't set up as productions. They were set up as sell points, which is kind of weird. And why did the map author do that? What were they thinking about? Who knows? But it is yet another map on ModHub, so can't knock it for that. We need more maps on ModHub. It kind of makes me want to go bake a map, honestly. Like I'm starting to get that kind of back of my head tinge or desire that says to me, you know, stop doing what you're doing, go make a map. Stop messing around with mods that are never going to make it through Giants, and go make a map. We'll see. It's probably not going to happen. Not soon, at least. And the honest answer is I have to learn Blender before I make a map. Because all the maps that I want to make, that are in my mind to make, require some kind of custom building. Whether that's a building that I already have, or a building that I need to make, or whatever. Which means I need to learn Blender. I'm going to. So I have two kind of plans for the maps, Jack. A couple of the maps, like, I really want to learn how to use Houdini to make a map. But I also think that I need to earn my stripes. I've done plenty of map editing, but I've never made a map. Made a map and released it. So I've never made anything of my own. Done a lot of editing of other people's maps, and used almost always for my own purposes, but I've never made anything on my own. I know all the things that I need to do, I've never done it. And so I kind of feel like I need to. Like, I need to just get out there and do it. Here, let's plant this as grass. Let's start planting this as grass. And then I'll decide what to... No! That's not the button I wanted to press. Darn it. Oops. Did I do that? That was a fail. I own that one. That was totally my fail. I did that. By the way, if you see seeders or anything you connect to doing that whole wheelie thing, which is part of the new update for the lack of ground blah 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 that they added, just hold, like, just pause, just wait a second, and it should resolve itself. Just letting you know. That's what I've figured out so far. Right. This crop cannot be what do you mean it can't be planted in December? I guess it can't. When can I plant grass? And do I need to sleep first? Grass. I can't plant grass until March? That's... I don't want to wait. I mean, I know it's not going to grow, but I don't want to wait. I want to do that right now. Settings. No. Paused. Oh, it's not control. Alright, zoom out so I can see my cedars. Okay, let's make sure those are coming in as grass. I'm just going to pause it so I can get the grass in the ground now and not have to worry about it. That's what I really want. Crop types. Grass. And that big hole in my grass right there. Alright. We're all set. But yeah, the goal is to actually do it in Houdini. So I actually want to do... I'm going to use the new Map for FS tool to do a realistic map. And I will probably do that one in Giants Editor the way I know how to do it. And kind of get my feet wet. And then I want to do what Ola's doing, which is using Houdini for just about everything. And I actually not just want to use Houdini, I also want to use Gaia. And I want to make some not realistic maps that are completely generated, so the everything about the map is generated. And that would be Gaia to generate the terrain, and then Houdini to generate everything else, essentially. Houdini is a 3D modeling program, which has some scripting in it, which allows generation, like creating things that don't exist. And allows you to procedurally generate things through a node-based system to define how that procedural generation works. And that's a big mouthful for someone, if you're not technical in any way. That's seems like, what is Josh talking about? Let's put it this way. And so that's actually the highlight of this map specifically, and why this map is special. This map was procedurally generated. Everything in this map was done in Houdini. It was released on ModHub before... It was submitted to ModHub, not released, but submitted to ModHub before Giants Editor was out for FarmSim 25. Let me let that sink in just real quick. Ola made an entire map, the entire map, in another program that isn't Giants Editor. Every other map maker uses Giants Editor. Ola used Houdini. Now, Houdini basically gives him the ability to do a lot of the same stuff you can do in Giants Editor, but with more control over the programmatic side of things. And what I mean by that is, like, if you look at this forest, right? Let me get out of here, my tractor real quick. Look at this stand of trees. If you're in Giants Editor and you wanted to place these trees down, you'd come in and you go click, 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 duplicate, click, duplicate, click, duplicate, click, duplicate, click. You'd actually just place individual trees to hew forever. They have scripts that'll do that for you now, but even those scripts are doing with something called procedural generation. They are procedurally placing each individual tree. Now, there are scripts that do it, but those scripts are written by somebody. And if you don't know how to write the language that those scripts are written in, you can't really customize it too much to have more randomness, less randomness, whatnot. You can just define which trees go where. And that's the way the scripts that are built into GE, which some of them are done by the FSG group, some of them are done by other groups and other people, but there are scripts out there to let you procedurally generate trees. Houdini does it in a different way, where those scripts are visual. You define how things happen within the program, and then you run it, and then you run it again, and then you run it again until it looks perfect. And then you export to Blender, and then you export to i3D, and suddenly it's in the same format that Giants expects it in. And most of the rest of it you can either do by hand, by editing XML, or you can manually generate the other stuff. So essentially exactly that. Exactly what Jack says. Just think of how many No Man's style, like this kind of style map, you could churn out with Houdini. Once you have it set up the way you want, and this is my intention, and this is one thing that I want to do, is you could, once you get it set up to working the way you want, you could use Gaia, which is the program that Ola uses to generate the terrain, to generate random terrain. And then with a few clicks in Houdini, you can have Houdini generate everything else. And so, kind of a one-stop shop. Show the lines here, make them bigger. And then that, a little bit offset. That. Locked into this line. Let's make the line big enough. There we go. There we go. So you can basically have Gaia generate a new terrain, and then go into Houdini and have Houdini generate everything else. And within a matter of minutes, not hours, not months or weeks or months, which is how long most maps take to make, you could create a new map that's completely unique because it was procedurally generated and everything in it was generated. And you took some artistic flair by saying, oh, I want trees here and I want a water feature here. But the rest of it gets generated, right? And so you get to a point where you could build almost the entire map randomly. And what I would like to do is build a set of maps, like a set of maps, like 3 or 4 maps all in one download, maybe more, where they're all procedurally generated using the same settings, but each one has a unique look and feel. Right? And so I want to be able to generate multiple maps. I want to be able to save those settings and then use those settings to generate the next map. And we have like a set of maps. Imagine this, having an alpine map pack. Right? Just think about it. An alpine map pack. And be able to generate 4 or 5 alpine maps that all kind of have the same feeling, but the terrain and where things are and how things look and whatnot is all different. And then be able to change a bunch of settings and make another map pack that's, you know, a French map pack that looks more like No Man's Land used to do, and have custom textures and ground types and which trees I choose to use and all kind of stuff, but have them all be generated to look more French or more German or more Asian or whatever it is, right? Other games already do it. Exactly, Jack Sarge. Other games already do this kind of stuff. Some games, the procedural generation is part of the game, like No Man's Sky. If you're the first person to find a new planet in No Man's Sky, it didn't exist before you got there. Let me be clear. They don't, like, No Man's Sky might have trillions upon trillions of planets, right? But what that planet looks like, what the atmosphere is, what kind of plants, what kind of animals, where buildings are, none of that stuff exists at all until you are the first one to get there. And then the first person to get there, it gets generated as you're flying into the map, as you're about to land, it gets generated. And once it's generated once, everyone else sees it the same way. How cool is that? Can you imagine, like, if some of that could be built into a script or something like that, where, like, Rusty was asking me about this the other day. By the way, hey, Northern Farm Sim, I see you. Thank you for coming in. Rusty was asking me about this the other day. Like, why can't we generate the starting equipment? Right? And we could. And that's actually a good idea for a mod. But, like, to be able to have to be able to have, like, a more randomness in the game. Like, if you start a map, you start a new farmer mode, what if you don't know what tractor you're gonna get? Right? But the game engine or a script or something picks one of 10 random tractors that it's a random seed completely. Jack Sarge, you have no control over it at all. But what if, like, the set of starting equipment was, you know, more random? What if it picked a tractor for you, and it picked a trailer for you, and it picked a seeder for you, and it picked a plow for you, and none of those things existed before you started the game, but they were all randomly chosen. We could definitely do that with a script mod. It's a great idea for a script mod. I don't know if I'll do it, but it's a great idea if someone else wants to steal my idea. Give some more randomness so that if I play a game, each time I play it, it's a little bit different. Or what about, like, having a map? Think of a 4X map. Think of the French Dux map. However you want to pronounce that. I don't know how to pronounce it. Why not have that, when you play that map, each time you play it, it picks a random one of those farmyards in new farmer mode, and that's the farmyard you start with. And on that farmyard, your starting equipment spawns. And on that starting equipment, what if all that starting equipment was random? Right? Like, wouldn't that take this stuff up a level or two? And I think that's what Houdini gives to map makers, is it gives some randomness. You could be like, okay, generate some trees. And then you could load into the game and be like, I'm not sure I really like that. You know what? I think there's too much of the little teeny aspen trees, and there's not enough of the big aspen trees. I want more big aspen trees. And then you go into Houdini, you tweak a few settings, and then you tell it to regenerate it. It replaces all the trees on the map randomly again, and you come into it. Like, what's here is just a random generation of trees that Ola said, okay, this is good enough. But what if it was more random than that? You know what I mean? Like, what if the map itself is a blank canvas, and when you start a new game, it randomly sets up 12 forests on the map. You don't know where they are. For every person, they're in a different place. And some of them might be really silly places, but you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't that add a lot to the game? I think it would. And so that's my plan, is to learn some of that kind of procedural stuff, because that kind of generation stuff, that's my jam. Like, I like being able to program things. I like to be able to do scripting. I like being able to do modding. Like, and I like modding for the fact that I can make something exist that doesn't exist before, right? That's why I spent so much time since the game launched working on the contract boost mod, which is also pending testing again. It's because I saw a chance for the game to be more than it was, or for the user to have more control over certain settings in the game that they don't have control over by default, and I wanted them to have control over them, so I gave them that control. To me, that's super rewarding, right? But I'm just one voice in a sea of nothingness or something. I'll get there. But that's actually back to the other point that I was talking about, right? I want to be able to highlight maps or map makers. I'm not going to do a map tour on every map. I probably won't do these kind of group map tours for very much longer. I think I'm going to start doing recorded map tours and do them in my own way, and do it in a different way, where I'm showcasing a map for a reason that might not be obvious. It might not be obvious to everyone. People will look at Comsden and be like, oh yeah, it's a map, cool, whatever. Did you realize that every building on Comsden, there aren't any Giants buildings? Has anyone noticed that? Probably not. They're just like, oh yeah, it's the same as it was in 22, no big deal. But do you know how much work went into making all of those custom buildings? Do you know how much respect that I and other map makers have for Oxy, because he takes the time to do that? He takes the time to make custom buildings for everything. That's what makes that map and a lot of his maps special. And other map makers who do similar things. You know what I mean? You get what is his name? Like ER Shaba does that a lot with his maps as well. The guy who Rusty's one of Rusty's favorite map makers. I forget his name. The guy who made like the Polish maps and stuff like that. A lot of those maps, all the buildings are custom. They're not from Giants. They're all custom. Lancey Boy too. Lancey Boy puts a lot of work into making custom buildings and custom things for his maps. But one of the reasons I love Middleburg is because Carl GG maybe. One of the reasons I love Middleburg is because there's so many custom things on that map. Whether it's Burger King restaurants, or the dealership, or the potato and spuds factory, or the winery, or there's a ton of custom buildings, custom assets, custom productions, custom things to do, custom ways of doing things. That's what I want to highlight, because I think that a lot of people will see a map tour, and then a lot of times you get someone doing the map tour who doesn't understand that stuff, who doesn't see what I see. And they'll be like, yeah, it's great, but, it's these triggers are broken, and this thing is broken, and this thing doesn't work, so yeah, I don't really recommend it because, yada, yada, yada. But maybe they miss the fact that all of the work that went into it. Or maybe there's something under the hood, or under not as well seen, that makes a map, or a mod for that matter, particularly worth looking at. And maybe sometimes for the opposite reason, you're like, well, that's probably not, like, that's not really custom at all. That's just, you know, I downloaded a mod by Grimlock RRC the other day, and I've seen a bunch of his mods before. And he had a fermenter and a TMR building mod, and I downloaded it, and then I got into the game and I placed it. I'm like, this isn't really new. It's just the base game lime station with a silo placed right on top of it. Both of which are base game assets. They just used base game assets to make it look slightly different, which is fine. Don't get me wrong, I've done that before too. But I was hoping for something completely unique, and what I got was recycled base game stuff. It's like 82 Studios got his multi-fruit buying station out before mine, because mine's still in testing. But his is just the base game silo recycled. That's all it is. It's not custom building, and that's fine. If that's what he wants to do, go for it. But he's just recycling the base game building. And so, which is fine and good, and if that's what he wants to do, go for it. I want to highlight when people go above and beyond to give you something different. And that's, to me, that's something I'm passionate about. And I hope to share that with you guys. MA7, lots of custom buildings. Carl TG, MA7 does everything custom buildings. I can't wait for Polygony to come out. Polygony is going to be one of my first series, whether it's a short one or a long one, I don't know yet. But a series is in Farm Sim 25 when Polygony comes out. I really wanted to play Polygony when it was first released for 22. I never got a chance to. Now, I'm still to this day bummed about that. And I'm very, very excited that they've already submitted Polygony for review for Giants. And I'm actually really surprised that it's not out yet. Because supposedly Giants is putting preference in for maps. That's why Comston got through so quickly. But if they are putting out a preference for maps, then why hasn't Polygony come out yet? That's what I want to know. Why not Giants? But they've been making some really awesome stuff, and their buildings are also really awesome. And like Black Sheep Modding, there's tons of custom buildings. They give us a ton of stuff. There's a lot of modders out there who put a lot of work into their maps, into their buildings and whatnot. And I wanna do the same if I can. I've got a couple of cool ideas for maps that I haven't talked about, but I want to make people rethink the way that they're playing the game, and maybe play it in a different way. You stop and you realize the fields weren't connected? What does that mean? Yeah, the main farm was really well done. There's also a bunch of secrets in Polygony that most people didn't know about. Oh, yeah, so 100% agree, Northern Farm Sim. That's my biggest gripe with maps ever. Is when one of two things. I don't mind when a map doesn't connect in between the fields. But I do mind when the unbuyable land is not buyable. That to me doesn't make sense at all. The unbuyable land should be just that. Unbuyable, but I don't want there to be unbuyable land. So I almost always will edit a map to make the unbuyable land buyable. One thing to note though, there is a bug with unbuyable land on base game maps. And I haven't been able to figure out a way to fix it. So just be careful with the unbuyable land if you hack something to be able to get it to work. If it's farmland 255, you're going to have problems with it. Yeah, no, I heard they updated it later. They didn't upload Polygyny until, I want to say, Christmas? Sometime around Christmas. But but at the same time, like, if they uploaded at Christmas, like, Giants is putting preference to stuff that to maps. So maps should be going through faster than something uploaded at Christmas. Because I know, because I've updated stuff for Christmas and it hasn't gone through testing yet. So, but yeah, I agree. Sometimes you want to be able to expand. If there's, like, I was playing on Oberschwaben, and which looks like a really great map, but they made it so that the in-between lands was not buyable, and they put 3 grass fields right next to each other. I'm gonna want to merge those 3 grass fields into 1 grass field. Like, that's just, why not? And for the most part, like, Giants allows you to do that, but some map makers decide that that's not what they want. So I'll always edit those maps if it's important to me. Joseph Otumuro. Otumuro? Is that Japanese, Joseph? Sounds like it. Well, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming in. And Northern Farm Sim, thank you for being an advocate for my mods and for my streams. I've had a couple people... Oh, okay, Spanish, good. I've had a couple people join my Discord recently who were pushed over from Northern Farm Sim, so thank you very much for being an advocate for my stuff. I'm, just like every other modder, currently in the wait. Playing the waiting game with ModHub. I've got 6 mods now in pending status with Giants. And a lot of them, you know, you've seen here. A lot of them are in use here on this map. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And I'm just waiting. I got most of my mods failed and then resubmitted within the past couple weeks, so that's good. So I'm hoping maybe by the end of next week, you guys might see 1 or more of the mods that I have waiting on ModHub. I'm excited. I hope so. We've got the mower. We've got the sawmill. We've got the farm fill stations. We've got an update for contract boost. We've got the new greenhouses. Those are all waiting. So we'll see what they say for most of them. I think some of them are going to pass. I'm hoping about that. Yeah, the sawmill is pretty awesome. I'm very proud of the sawmill. And I would like to hope or think that maybe Giants got the idea for all of their mini productions from my sawmill. Because, in all honesty, if you look at the not the industrial sawmill, but the other one that I submitted to Giants last year that they didn't approve, I submitted to them and they're like, no, we can't do that because you're using a DLC asset, and they didn't like it. And then they turned around and included almost exactly the same thing in FS25's base game. An LT-15 wood miser in a little shed with multiple pallet spawn points. That kind of looks like what's in the base game. So I hope they got the idea from me. I hope I helped them bring that to everyone. Not ironic. I mean, it's, yeah, ironic. Most people could say ironic. Some people could complain, say, oh, they stole my idea. I'm not that kind of person. I like to think that they got my idea and then they took it and made it their own. And that's what modding is in some way, right? Like I took when I made the farm fill stations, I got the idea from Giants. I was like, oh, well, how come the lime station only has lime? I think it should have fertilizer too. And while I'm there, I should also have slurry and digestate and manure and water. Those should all come out of the same thing because that's all stuff that you're doing for field work. And that's where the fieldwork fill station came out. I took an idea that I saw from Giants and I did it my own way. Whether it's better or not is up to the player to decide. Right? Kansas boy, welcome in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for jumping in. Like the mower, the Batwing mower. That's not mine. That's Giants' mower. Well, it wasn't a mower until I turned it into a mower. And since then, I've seen 2 or 3 other ones come out on other sites that are doing the same thing, where they turn that same Batwing-looking thing into a mower. But they just can turn into a mower. Mine's turned into everything all at once, so I have the market on that one. Oh, and then the new edition for the Fieldwork Fill Station, which I hope everyone really enjoys when it comes out. But don't forget that every fill station is also a selling point. That's a new feature. Totally new feature. Every of the fill stations in FS22, they were just buy points. All you could do is buy from them. But now they're selling points too, and you can sell to them. I believe I'm the only one doing that. And they sell with really good prices too, so there's a benefit there. And look at that. We almost got this whole field done during our stream. I'm still going to have to roll it and make sure that I didn't miss big sections like I think I just did right here. Did I just miss that section? I totally did, didn't I? Of course I had to save. No, I didn't miss it. Oh, nope. Go back. Don't miss anything. You got a Batwing that's not as cool as mine? And if I can learn Blender, maybe I'll make it a better Batwing. It's totally new and something that no one has ever seen. And if I can learn Blender, maybe I'll make an even better Batwing. Who knows? Someday. I kind of want to focus on buildings, though. A few more cool ideas for buildings. And for the buildings, actually, I want to find someone to work with. I want to work with someone who can decorate the buildings. Because mine are not decorated yet. And I kind of want them to be decorated. I have a bunch of buildings, but they're all empty. You can go inside, but they're just empty. Oh, hey, Joseph. I see you just joined the server. I see that. Thank you so much for joining, sir. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Discord. And that's the same thing for everybody. Let me do the hashtag thing. And that didn't type into anything, so I'll have to do it again. There we go. If anyone else, like Joseph, isn't interested in joining the Discord, there's the link. There's the invite link. It is an invite-only Discord, but there's the invite. So, you're welcome. I do all my announcements for the game, talk about all the mods that I've built. I share ideas. I am also very, very active in helping anyone who asks for help, pretty much. So if you have a modding question you can't seem to find the answer to, let me know. And maybe I'll know the answer, and if I don't, I'll probably look it up for you and figure out, and then I'll teach you how to do it. That's just who I am. And those who are in my Discord now know that already, but if you're new, probably not. Welcome in, everybody. And that's going to be it for me tonight. I'm at my kind of 2-hour mark. I want to say thank you for everyone who's been here. There's a ton of people in the chat right now. 14 people in the chat. That's pretty high for me. I'm not a big-time streamer yet, but we are getting close to 1,000, which means, you know, I still haven't updated that the stream elements thing. So I'm getting close to 1,000 subscribers, which is a big milestone for me as a streamer. And we're up at like 1.2, almost 1.3 million downloads on ModHub, which is pretty spectacular. So thank you everyone for doing that. Thank you to everyone who takes the time to not only download mods from ModHub, but go back and rate them. ModHub will not let you rate a mod unless you've downloaded it when it's currently in your current save game folder. So you can only rate mods on ModHub in the game. It'll only let you rate mods you have in your save game folder. So don't forget to go and rate your mods, because you know what? The modders and their feedback, and if they get paid at all, is all based on your feedback. So if you don't rate mods, then the modder's not going to know, number one, that you like it, and number two, they're not going to be active to get paid for them. And I make a little bit of money off of modding, but it's like pocket change. It's enough to buy me coffee here and there. So, Mr. Big Time Streamer. Yeah, I wish. I wish. That's going to be it for me tonight. I'm going to whip around and probably spend a little bit of time finishing up this field, get it all rolled, and then turn back on the seasons, and then prepare that next field, the southern one, for next time. And maybe we'll go in and plant or seed or something, that other field, for next time. Thank you for everyone for being here. Thank you for coming along, and goodbye for now. I will highlight one thing. I have added the channel members to this ending screen. I'm still working on how it should look and how it should whatever. And I'm still working on that. But that's the listing of names of people who are members. If you'd like to join the channel membership, the button's down below. It's pretty cheap. It helps support me as a streamer. If you'd like to do that, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. But it's not required. I'll give my help out to anyone who wants it. And until next time, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.